Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth have officially been announced. Final Fantasy VII fans are super hyped right now, but what does this mean for Kingdom Hearts 4? We're gonna answer all those questions right now and more, as I am joined today by Lethal and Ndukauba. Ndukauba, go and say hello, man. I think this is the first time we've ever brought you onto the direct channel. What's up, man?
It is the first time. What's going on, people? I am a huge Final Fantasy VII fan and Kingdom Hearts fan.
That's not an understatement, by the way. He's truly a huge.
No, yes,
he's a huge fan. He's a huge fan. Like, just.
I'm excited for this. What's going on? What's going on?
Awesome. All right, and Lethal, how's it going, man? You still hyped from the news since it's been what, almost 48 hours now since it was announced?
Always, Tallen, always. Anything Square Enix that drops, I always get hyped. So listen, we're gonna get into some juicy stuff because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. When it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake, I think we can all say like the remake is doing some dope stuff. So I'm excited because this is gonna be dope, dude.
All right. So let's just start super simple real quick because it's the one that's coming out. Hopefully it's this winter, but that could be anywhere from November 2022 to around February, March, just 2023. You know, they obviously did that on purpose in case they need to delay it by a little bit. But Crisis Core, it came out originally in 2007 on the PSP, and while a lot of people got to play it, there's a ton of people who have not had a chance to play it just simply because, regardless of what you think of the console itself, the handheld, it wasn't exactly the greatest selling thing ever. It was obviously competing with Nintendo's handhelds at the time, and it's, you know, obviously didn't have that many games to play in the grand scheme of things, I would say personally. So a lot of people are finally going to get the chance to play Crisis Core here. I personally loved the game back on the PSP, but obviously I know it was definitely limited by the hardware it was on at the time. I'm super hyped for it. Definitely. Now, they've definitely quoted that it's not just simply a remaster. Obviously, you have upgraded visuals, but you have improved UI, you have extra scenes that are being thrown in and everything like that, and new upgraded music and audio. So definitely a lot of changes and everything. It's almost like a mini remake, which, you know, it's not like a remake where it's, you know, you have to go that drastic from Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? That's like a 20+ year gap right there between those two games. So obviously a full-on remake is needed, whereas with Crisis Core, it kind of already had some of those foundations, especially with how some of the UI looked, the character models and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely kind of a more in between. So Ndukauba, I want to get your thoughts real quick. Crisis Core, obviously, are you gonna, well, I know you're gonna play it, but do you think others should play it? And just what are you most hyped in terms of seeing from that? And do you think they're gonna add any extra stuff to maybe tie it into Remake/Rebirth, since that's the second game coming out in the trilogy?
Okay, so of course I'm insanely excited to play the game just because, like, literally,
No way.
it's, yeah, I know, right? No, like, seriously, again, I love Crisis Core, right? And I've waited far too long for them to try to announce some sort of remake. So the fact that it's happening is awesome. But you know what's actually crazy? I really don't think that they're going to do anything to try to tie it into Final Fantasy VII Remake or even the sequel Rebirth, just because they don't really need to. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I could have sworn I saw like a Twitter thread about it like sometime earlier today, and people were like talking about, like, you know, the spoilers for anybody who hasn't finished Final Fantasy VII Remake at this point, which is kind of crazy. But at the ending of near the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake, we see Zack, but instead of him dying, he lives. And that's kind of them like rewriting the story in a sense, right? So they kind of already established that in the newer game. So in the older game, they really don't need to. They can honestly just release it. Heck, they could have just released it exactly like how it looked like on the PSP, just upscale the graphics. Now it would have been good. Like, because they don't really have to do anything. Although quick thing too, it's also kind of insane the scale that they went to like remaster this game, because it looks like a remake, but it's not one. And I was seeing like back-to-back comparisons, and literally the only thing that's different is just the graphics. That's it. The animations, and I'm pretty sure, you know, UI elements are different too, but animations, all that are the exact same as they were on the PSP. And I wish that they gave the HD collections of Kingdom Hearts as much love and attention as they gave this game.
That would make too much sense, though. That would make too much sense, man. I mean, quick side note, because if people are wondering what he's talking about right there, the Kingdom Hearts series, when it came to both the remakes, or not the remakes, but the re-releases essentially on PS3, PS4, heck, even technically the Switch ones, but those are cloud-based. We know they went pretty lazy on those right there. there was a lot of stuff that you can clearly tell they kind of just upscaled stuff, and that was it. They didn't really actually go through and try to either fix a few things or make sure things actually worked at 60 FPS or anything like that. And if you want to know the reason why, we don't know 100%, but the theory that's been going around for a few years now, and it's even kind of been proven by Square Enix's statements that they've made before, is that whenever a game releases, if it doesn't sell or do as well as Final Fantasy VII, they consider it a loss. They consider it that it's done bad, that it could have done better. Even if it sells like millions of copies and everything, they still think it'd be just because, oh, it hasn't done as well as Final Fantasy VII. So that's unfortunate, really. I mean, even games like the world ends with you, the sequel one, Neo, the world ends with you.
I was just gonna say that. Please give respect to that one. That definitely deserves it. Please,
Dude,
please play that game. Please play that game.
It's amazing. We're going off topic here. That game's amazing. Everyone go play it right now. Like seriously, go play that game. Game's amazing. Both of them are. But it's just unfortunate that game actually sold pretty well, all things considered, even though they didn't really market it or anything. And they still considered it not good. And it's just like, what? Why? It actually did well. It did better than your other games that you're trying to do as live services and everything. And it's just like, what the heck, Square? So, yeah. Anyway,
even at that.
Getting off topic though. Go ahead, Ndukauba.
Oh, I was just gonna quickly say I'm still very surprised that we even got Final Fantasy VII Remake, because I remember them specifically saying that the only way they would give us Final Fantasy VII Remake was if Final Fantasy 15 sold well. Or better than Final Fantasy VII, and I know for a fact it never did. So the fact that we got it is still insane.
Yeah. Or, you know, it easily could have been some marketing ploy to be like, all right, guys, you want Final Fantasy VII Remake, go buy 15 to see if maybe they could get some sales or anything like that. And then everyone was like, look, it's a good game, or it's just okay, but, you know, give us Remake already.
Exactly.
So, which I feel like it was probably already in development. So.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, but anyway, so Lethal, how about you, man? What are your thoughts on Crisis Core? Do you disagree, or do you agree with Ndukauba? Do you think they're going to maybe potentially add anything little in, or just, you know, and by the way, when I say add stuff, and I don't mean like they have to add in some huge thing to make it look like, you know, to tie into the game, but maybe they add some extra information that we haven't really seen before, or, you know, it was kind of hinted at, and maybe they go in more depth into it. What are your personal thoughts, man?
So, I mean, first off, I'm extremely hyped. People who don't know Zach Fair, I feel so bad, but I'm actually really happy now, because God bless those people who don't know Zach Fair, that will now get to learn about him, get to learn about the awesome carriers of like Angel, Genesis, Baby Girl Sisney. Like we talked about all of them. Like they're important, and so I'm really glad that people are finally gonna be able to play this game, because like Ndukauba said, I think Tallen said it too, this game was trapped on PSP, and God bless it, it's coming back. And one thing to add, it's pretty interesting to see that this is dropping on Nintendo Switch,
yes,
right? PS4, PS5, Steam, Xbox One, Series X. Like this is going everywhere. Maybe not Rebirth, because we're gonna get into that, but it's interesting to see that at least they're blessing everybody with the opportunity to play this game. So just for that alone, thank you, Square. That is a much needed thing. But to go off on a little bit of direction that Ndukauba was going on, I'm really excited because I have my own little theory that we talked a little bit on the Waypoint podcast. But I do have my theory is that they could have, if they wanted to, I think they could have completely ignored this. But as we saw at the end of Remake, right? And again, Ndukauba went into it, so I'm gonna go ahead and push into it too. We got into the end of Remake, and you see that this other character is clearly having something that is a little bit different for the fans that know the series and know how things normally go. So it's pretty exciting to see like Zach is gonna probably have so much more to the story in Remake. And so I personally think them bringing back Crisis Core means that they really want people to know these characters, because I feel these characters will be tying into the Remake trilogy in some capacity. And as we've seen, Square has already done some extra stuff in terms of like integrate, right? What they've done with the latest edition for the PS5. And I think it's coming on Steam, they announced as well, right? Yeah, it's dropping on Steam.
It's already out.
Oh,
right
it's already out. Look at that. Don't even listen to me. It's already out. So that's even better. So that's dope. So in Integrate, they did even more stuff showing off Zach, and even characters that you probably should not see for a while. Like, I mean, are we going full spoilers, or we're not really trying to go that far?
We might as well.
I mean,
like we got the trailer.
Integrate and Remake has been out for so long, you might as well just go. I mean, I guess I'll put spoilers up on the screen right now if you haven't played it. Skip to the timestamp, but most people I feel have played it. So go, man, go full spoilers.
Okay, cool. So basically, I mean, I'm not going to go over the whole story, but like they introduced characters that we probably might not have seen maybe at all, or something that they could have done way later. And these are characters from a game called George Cerberus. If you've played it, God bless, because you know Vincent, you know he's a badass. But they introduced characters like Nero, and I always pronounce it, is it Weiss? I always pronounce it Weiss.
Yeah.
But they introduced those two characters, and I'm trying to think of anybody extra, and then brand new characters. The guy that Yuffie talks to, I wish I can remember his name. It's going off the top of my head.
Sonon?
Yeah. He was like a brand new character that they introduced. Like, the point I'm trying to make is they're doing things way different with this remake, with this storyline of Final Fantasy VII, where they're just doing all types of crazy things. And again, with those two characters, this is an interesting dynamic to see Yuffie interact with them, because I never knew Yuffie would have ever interacted with them, right? Timeline-wise, from the original, they were never introduced until way later. And so it's cool to see that they are doing things completely different. So back to my whole point is, with them bringing back Crisis Core, I do think they want you to know these characters, because they plan on using a lot of these characters. And you know what we're going to talk to in Rebirth and potentially the last game, they're going to switch up some stuff, and it's going to get freaking crazy. And that's what I'm super excited about, because I personally just want to see them do something a little bit new with the storyline. I'm actually really excited for that direction to go in. So this is dope. Yes, Crisis Core, thank God, God bless. Everybody gets to learn who Zack is and gets to have fun with the that lotto system, the roulette system. It's like one of the dopest things ever. It's such a good game, and I'm actually kind of happy that they did more of like the remaster treatment and they didn't change too much of it. Talon, going back just real quick to your like original question, do I want to see anything extra added in? Personally, no. I like that this might just be a very faithful remaster, keeping it very close to the original. I like that, because I think remake is where like everything's gonna go off the rails, and we're gonna be like, oh hell no, like this is totally different. So I'm excited for it to go in that direction. So don't add nothing new. What they could do, what I might see them doing, is maybe like artwork. Maybe they'll do like a cooler like gallery section. Like that's stuff that you will see in like a reunion edition of the game. So I'm excited for that direction. But yeah, we can move on. But I'm super excited. This is gonna be dope. Everybody has to play this.
I'll simply say real quick, just to get one more word in real quick, is that I don't think, in terms of like the story and everything, I don't think they would really add too much in or anything like that, unless they want to add in the whole short hair Sephiroth thing. But that's from Cover Crisis and everything like that, which I'm just gonna say just looks super weird. I don't know. That's a whole nother tangent I can get into.
I'm excited. That's dope.
But the second thing I could potentially see them adding in, potentially, maybe if you do like 100% completion or something like that, is maybe they show the scene that we saw at the end of Remake where Zack lives, and so, you know, we're compared to how he usually dies, right? Maybe they do that or something, you know, because I'm assuming they're probably thinking that anyone who picks this up right now and potentially hasn't played it, that maybe they have played Remake 1, and then they're like, wait, how did Zack survive? So maybe that's about the only thing I could potentially see them adding in for something like that. But other than that, I think they'll probably stay pretty faithful to it.
If you don't mind me interjecting just real quick, see, as much as I would love to see that, I really don't think that's going to happen for one very important reason. And for anybody who's played Final Fantasy VII Remake, or for even those who haven't played, there are these entities in Final Fantasy VII Remake called Whispers, right? And if people don't understand,
saving dudes or whatever.
Yeah. And for people who don't actually know like what the Whispers represent in that game, the Whispers represent us, like literally us, but more so like purists of Final Fantasy VII, people who do not want the timeline to deviate whatsoever. So the fact of them defying fate, or in other words, not going the original timeline of Final Fantasy VII, and you know, having some fans actually go crazy about it, which has happened, right? It's still happening to this day. I don't think that they would actually change the ending of Crisis Core, even though it would be cool to see. I don't think they'll do it, just because then it kind of diminishes the impact of the Whispers and how they function in Final Fantasy VII Remake. So like, if they do it, I'm all for it. But yeah.
Yeah, well, I'd say the only thing we can do is simply wait to see.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
Who knows, right? We can make all these predictions all we want, and then all of a sudden, 270-degree turn down the hole. You know, it's like, oh.
I mean, Nomura was involved, right? A little bit. So I mean, it could go. God knows.
Right.
God knows where this is gonna go.
So. All right. So anyway, bottom line though, Crisis Core releasing this winter. I'm really hoping for like a December release. Do not make it February. Don't do it Square. Don't do it. I beg of you, do not do it. If you want to make it January, fine. I can kind of understand that. Do not do February.
I need a December 1st.
Please don't.
December 1st,
please don't.
Please.
I'm fine with December 2. Yeah, we'll see. Okay,
Yeah.
so obviously Crisis Core is the first game. Second game, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, aka Rebirth. I don't know why. I kind of get why they're doing the title like that, but at the same time, you know, there's gonna be some people, especially more casual gamers, who are confused and say, wait, is this a continuation? Is this a side game? Like, what is that, right? Just by the title itself. But regardless, anyway, we actually got a release window, not a release date, but we got a release window, winter 2023, which could easily be December 2023 until February 2024, give or take. I don't know about you guys. I was shocked. We actually not only got a reveal trailer, but a release window. I'm personally shocked about that. I was like, okay. I was like, we saw the trailer. I was hyped. I was like, okay, let me guess, you know, like coming 2024 or something like that, you know, like just some random year. No, they gave us a time frame, like an actual good time frame. I'm like, okay, well, this is happening. So, yeah, it's looking pretty good. I mean, it looks like Final Fantasy VII Remake, obviously. I don't think that was gonna be much of a change there or anything like that. But what are you guys most excited to see? Ndukauba, you answered first last time, so Lethal, I'm gonna ask you this time. What are you most excited for the Rebirth game?
That's a lot.
Everything.
Dude, because Rebirth has the potential to, like, I know we talked a little bit, again, we talked some of this on the Waypoint podcast too, but Rebirth has the potential to just go like absolutely, like completely just shifting from what we're expecting. Because I expect that game to be the game, or at least the one in this trilogy, because it is a trilogy. They also announced that. So this game, I feel like, has to be the one where like things really shift and change at some point, whether that's towards the end half of it or maybe towards the mid to end half. I expect things to just go like balls to the wall crazy. So like, for example, I don't want to give examples, but I'll just say like there's like, this would be the game where like you would see deaths. Put it that way. In my opinion, that's where this game I think would go. It would go to a point where we would start to see some deaths. And so I just wanted, I just want them to see them do things really different and kill certain characters that we're not expecting to kill. So I'm really excited if they do something like that and just completely shift the whole tone of it. But also this game, it's a pretty big game because the first game, right, took place in Midgar for the most part. That was literally, not even for the most part, that game was Midgar. And so Midgar in the original game is not even that long in terms of like how long it takes for you to get out of Midgar.
It's like a half hour or 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's not even that long. The fact that they made a whole freaking game with that much content and with that much detail, it does leave me thinking, where the hell does the second game gonna take place? Like, how did they design it? Does it stay in the same realm of the first game? Do we just get one place like Cosmo Canyon? Because I could spend a lot of time in Cosmo Canyon, right? Or the Golden Saucer. But there's so many places that this is a trilogy. In the last game, I keep thinking in my mind, the last game has to just kind of be like the very end of like the story, to the point where like it is the lead up into the big fight, the big epic boss fight. And so in my mind, the middle game has to cover a lot of ground. It has to cover a lot of stuff. And in the original, there's just so many places to go to. I mentioned a couple like Cosmo Canyon, Mount Corel. I think it's Junon.
Yeah, Junon.
Junon. There's the Costa del Sol. Like, there's so many iconic locations that I start to think like, how are they going to incorporate that? And the fact that we're getting this game, a lot of us feel like this is coming so soon. And so I'm also kind of thinking too, on top of that, is like, will they make this more of like an open world or open zone like kind of style? Will they go in that direction? Because again, this isn't a part in the original game where like, you know, you get more of the overworld and you can kind of like travel that way to different places. And so I keep thinking like, we saw the trailer, right? We can go into the trailer stuff here. They're going through some of the stuff like flashbacks, right? A certain flashback that you're looking and saying, whoa, Cloud and Sephiroth, this makes absolutely no sense. But I know we're going into spoiler stuff, so like this is a pretty big flashback that does incorporate Zack to some degree, so, or for the most part. So there's so many things that I'm so excited to see just how they're going to tackle it, what they're going to do. But I will say, for one big thing that I really hope they do with this one is that they do make it more of like an open zone, and that way you can still kind of travel to the different locations, because I do feel like a big part of the game is just going to different locations and meeting the different characters. And I'm kind of curious too, will this be the game where we just get all the characters? Like, are they going to save adding Vincent until like the third game? Because that would be kind of weird. That'd be kind of late at that point. This should be the game where it establishes this is your party, these are your characters, get to know them, get to love them.
Wasn't Vincent optional?
Yeah, Vincent and
He's optional. So.
Yeah.
For sure, he's optional, for sure. But I don't know, if you play that game and definitely didn't ever like go back to learn about him, he's such an important character to me. But
I mean, he
100%,
the DLC that we got for remakes. So
yeah.
I mean, It was a no.
You think like after too, like
maybe I don't know. I'm taking a wild guess here, just random swing in the dark, type of thing. So
I like to think that they won't do that, but hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully they do incorporate them in this game.
Think of the money.
There's plenty of characters that they can go into, because as you can tell, they're bringing all types of characters. I think they're gonna at least bring in like all different types of characters into this timeline here. So I don't know. I'm going on for a rant at this point, but the point is, I want this game to be absolutely like crazy and deviating a lot from the original. I'll leave it there. I'm going on.
All right, Ndukauba, what do you personally think, man?
Okay, I have a lot to say. Right.
Okay, keep it simple here.
Keep it simple. Okay.
I'll go ahead. Go on for that hour. Ndukauba, take that hour.
Man, look, let me talk to y'all. No. So the one thing I want to get out of the way quickly is the fact that we're getting Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and we're also getting Final Fantasy 16, two mainline Final Fantasy games in the same year. That is big. Like, bro, look, when both games drop, I don't know Tallen, I don't know Lethal, I don't know 5-9. The only thing I know is the Shadow Realm. I'm playing both of those games into the ground. Oh my goodness.
I will have to drag you out of your apartment to be like, get your ass out here.
Oh my god.
Some grass.
touch grass, drink water, all that good stuff. No, but the way how I see Rebirth going, honestly, is, well, okay, there's two ways that they can go, because since Remake was literally the first hour of the original game spread out to like a 40-hour game, this game, they do gotta kind of like blow the door wide open, right? Like, obviously we finally left Midgar, we're now traversing, you have like your initial party with you. We'll finally be able to play as Red 13, and we all know Yuffie's also tracking them as well, so she'll be joining the party soon. And it's crazy because, Yuffie is also an optional character, so the fact that they incorporated her into the story is actually nice, knowing that she's gonna join the squad. But I think apart from just them blowing the door open and like having us traverse and all that stuff, it also gives them the opportunity to incorporate a lot of the side stuff in the original game that people are skeptical if they'll add. For example, one of my favorite things in Final Fantasy VII was chocobo breeding and chocobo racing. That crap was fire. You know what I'm saying? And then if you get the golden chocobo, you can go and get Knights of the Round, or, all sorts of stuff like that. And then you got Gold Saucer, the weapons, all that good stuff, right? So I'm hoping that they find a way to put that either in this game or in the last game. And also, I think it's kind of fire that it's 3 games, because it's low-key an homage to the original games, because it was a 3-disc series. We're getting 3 games, which is great. And also with Vincent, if they want to make him DLC, they could. I could see it happen, because they could kind of give him the Yuffie treatment since he is an optional character. But if not, and they have my man in the base game, look, y'all don't understand Vincent, bro. That man is drip incarnate. Okay, I need him. I need him. I can't wait.
He's so dope. He needs to be in this game.
So you guys obviously want them to do a lot of the stuff with like the open world and everything like that. So my third question that just came up in my head, because I personally would like to see this, and it kind of ties into, again, what we saw not only in the ending of Remake, but also what they literally showed us in the trailer for Rebirth, is do you think they're gonna add in some sides, I don't want to call it side stuff, but kind of like, like where we're playing as the main squad and everything like that, and then we go back to Midgard to play as Zack, or whatever Zack's doing, whether it's in Midgard or outside of Midgard. Do you think they're gonna do that? I think there's a good chance they do.
They would have to in this game. Like, you can't introduce Zack third game. That's weird. People are gonna hate that. That's how you get angry fans who are like, what the hell is this? No, you're right. They would have to. It has to be this game. And again, if you played Integrate, you've seen that like he's already back and he's already in Midgard. So like it's interesting to kind of think like, at what point do they even do that? Like, we're big Square guys, right? And we're also big Kingdom Hearts guys. So it's like, do they pull a Roxas Kingdom Hearts 2 moment? Like, do we start the game off as Zack right from Midgard, and then do they do something? Like, that would be the way to, and that would be the Nomura way to kind of like, hey, like put it out there, right? Or let the rest of the team be like, hey, this is a dope idea, you should do this. But like, that would be the way to maybe kind of do it too, because assuming a lot of people had just got done playing, Crisis Core Reunion or Crisis Core. Final Fantasy VII Reunion, whatever, that's such a long name. But Crisis Core, right? Imagining people are playing that and then going into this game, that would be a way to do it, is to start off like that, because I don't know where they would introduce that. I can't imagine them like going like halfway through the game and then, then bringing in Zach too. Like, that's an interesting thing, but they have to do it because that's kind of what they're setting up for, right? That's kind of the big thing. So I'd have to say when they do that, it had to be at least like mid game. They can't do that like late. They can't make the last like hour and you get to play as Zach. Like that would also piss me off too. So
no, which is
I would say like they do it. Yeah, for sure they'll do it.
Which is also fire too, because the fact that they broke past the traditional route is like anything can happen at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, we could start off with Zach. We don't even know how it's gonna play out. Like once everything kind of progresses forward. So like if they give us like segments in the game where we get to play as Zach, because at the end of Intergrade, we know he made it back, right? He's at the church. He's trying to see Aerith. She's obviously not there because she literally just left. So yeah, to see all that is gonna be fire. Like I want to play through that so freaking bad.
Yep. So, and again, I'm sure we'll see some clips and trailers potentially. I don't think we'll see a demo, but we'll probably see a gameplay trailer thing where, it's gonna be like, oh, this is like 4 hours into the game or something like that, right? And then it shows random combat or something like that. So, definitely excited to see that. One thing to quickly note real quick, which Letha and I've talked with you a little bit about, and Ndukauba, you said you knew a little bit about, but for anyone who doesn't know, if you take two things. If you watch the Japanese trailer, which is basically it's the exact same trailer in terms of footage and everything, but there are two things that were kind of done in that trailer / if you know where to look. So the first one is that in the Japanese trailer, where Zach is carrying Cloud, there's really no spoilers, it's literally in the trailer. Cloud name drops Zach. He actually just simply says, Zach, where are you? It's been we came here 5 years ago. Where the heck are you type of thing. Whereas in the English trailer, it's the same thing where he kind of, implies he's talking about Zach, but at the same time, he could be talking about somebody else. Because as you know, trailers always love to just, mess with our minds, right? You think they're talking about this, and then they're talking about this over here and all that stuff. And who knows? Maybe we are looking at this a little bit too much. But it's just something to kind of note that in the Japanese one, it kind of like clarifies it a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see with that. But then the second thing is that the name Rebirth itself. So Rebirth in English is exactly what it sounds like, right? But in Japanese, depending on the context you use it in, it can either mean rebirth, just like it does in English, or it can mean reverse. And so there's some theories going around that maybe because this is kind of like doing a reverse on the timeline, or a combination of a rebirth and a reverse at the same time, because of obviously how crazy this game could potentially be and everything like that. What it means with Zach being there now when he's supposed to be dead, Sephiroth and Cloud obviously having their big battle at the end of Remake when they weren't even supposed to have or anything like that. So there's a lot of speculation about what that could mean, but definitely keep an eye out for future videos, not only from us, but just simply in the future with potentially what Rebirth could actually mean. And I'll leave it to you guys real quickly. Do you think it has any special meaning? Do you think it doesn't? Or do you want to wait for more information?
I think it absolutely has a special meaning, because ironically, and if people actually don't know this, Square Enix has already messed with this concept before with Kingdom Hearts Rechain of Memories with Riku's story, which is literally called Reverse Rebirth. So them trying to explore that territory with Final Fantasy VII, I would not even be surprised in the least, right? Because it kind of is following that path where we have the quote-unquote main timeline, which would be like, think of it like Sora in a sense in Rechain of Memories, where you're just going up and up and up and progressing with the actual story. And then you have the other timeline where it's like, okay, Riku is trying to figure out his thing going on with Ansem and trying to figure out how to maintain the darkness or to even expel it or control it. And then you have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with Zack, and it's like, that's not the actual timeline. What's he going through? What's going to happen from there? So that's the way how I see it. And even with the third game, I'm pretty sure they're also gonna have like that type of moniker in it too. It just depends on like what would happen after Rebirth, obviously, because I'm sitting here thinking maybe it can be called Return. I don't know, but yeah, they're definitely working on playing with that for sure.
All right, Ethel, what about you, man? Do you think it has a hidden meaning?
No, I mean, a lot of that makes a lot of sense, and I'm even starting to think after listening to what Ndukauba was saying with the whole thing with Chain of Memories, because that's a great point, and it does have me even thinking, like, we were just kind of talking about like, where do they introduce Zack? Like, how does that work? Like, I was just thinking now, like, what if it is a thing where you just beat 2, right? You beat Rebirth, and then the game is like, oh, nah, here you go, back into it, but with this time with Zack. Like, what if they just do something like that? Like, I can see that now becoming a thing. So that'd be really cool to see. And with the whole naming convention, I mean, I think the Nomura was saying in an interview, because they also dropped, after having the event, a couple of interviews with like Nomura. I think it was Katase and I forget the other director too, I think. But Nomura was saying that like he has a whole reasoning behind the naming. He always does stuff like that, right?
Yep.
So
Exactly.
it does have me think like, okay, remake clearly means I'm taking it as like, remake as in they're switching up the story, right? That's my biggest takeaway from that naming. Just going into now Rebirth, and now Rebirth or Reverse, right? So like, exactly what that's gonna mean, I don't know. Like, is that like kind of just like the signal for like introducing Zack? Is that kind of like doing something where like he's not dead, like he's gonna become a major part in this game? Is that a way to take Rebirth? And then what would like part 3 be now? Like, what would be the name for that? I know Ndukauba was saying like Return. What if it's like Revenge? What if something like, I go back to like, what if it's something crazy ending to 2, where 3 is just like a complete different, something not to expect at all? So like, I don't know. There's so many ways to look at that, but I do think I don't know. I do think it's just gonna be. There's so many avenues to go in terms of what they might do, but I don't know, man. Rebirth will be. It'll be pretty interesting to see exactly what the game will be itself. I don't know.
All right.
I'm losing my train of thought, man. It's crazy.
I mean,
This game is gonna.
you
This game
talk
is gonna
like
be
5
crazy,
hours.
man.
You can talk for 5 hours.
It's these damn Square games, man. They make you
know.
think for. It's crazy. It's crazy.
All right. So final thing to wrap up the video then that we need to talk about, because I mentioned it all the way back at the intro now. So it's time to bring that full circle now. With Nomura working obviously on Rebirth, they've already announced that the third game, Return, Revenge, whatever it's going to be called, is already being worked on right now, right? And then you have Crisis Core that I don't know if he's technically working on it, but he's probably helping out with it and everything, kind of just being the lead, to essentially make sure everything fits together as they finish that game up for this upcoming winter. But the other game that everyone has to keep in mind that he's also supposedly working on, in terms of, I don't know how much right now, he's obviously the main director and everything like that, is Kingdom Hearts 4. Now, that's 4 games that he is working on right now, right? Or he's the head of, or whatever you want to say, right? So my question is that, again, I stated at the very beginning of the video, does this mean that we're going to see Kingdom Hearts 4 delayed even more? Because there are some people who still think for some reason that game is coming out in 2023, which I don't even think is even close to being ready for that.
No way.
That's
But
not happening.
I'm
That
gonna
NVIDIA
put
leak is not
I'm gonna put my
happening,
timeline, I would say, and then I want you guys to give me your timelines, and we'll ask you guys down in the comments below, what is your personal timeline? So the way I think it's gonna go, so I was gonna go Crisis Core. That can't be denied. Crisis Core will be the first game to come out. I then think Rebirth will come out the following winter. So that's 2023-ish going into 2024, because again, just winter timeline right there. Then I think it's going to be Kingdom Hearts 4, but I don't think that's hitting until 2026. I'm gonna say 2026 right now. And then we'll get whatever the third installment for this trilogy of Final Fantasy VII is. All right.
Okay.
What do you guys go? What do you think the timeline is going to be?
Here's my timeline, and this is actually going to incorporate another game that we did not mention at all.
Okay, go ahead.
So, seeing that the development of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth went smoothly, and they've been saying that since like day one that it's been going perfectly fine.
Hasn't been said like since 2020, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, like they had no issues with development in that game, and which is very crucial to note, because we already knew what happened earlier, like back in like what 15 or whatever, when Nomura was working on both Kingdom Hearts 3 and at the time Final Fantasy Versus 13 that ended up becoming 15 because it was too much on its plate and they gave the game to somebody else. So the way how I see it is, we already know next year we're getting this year we're getting Crisis Core. Next year we're getting Final Fantasy 16, which he's not even working on, and we're also getting Rebirth. After that, I do believe that we'll get Kingdom Hearts 4 in 2024, because I think there was an interview that released recently about like them including Disney Worlds and all that stuff. But if I'm not mistaken, the development of that game is also going smooth. So I believe 2024 we can get Kingdom Hearts 4. 2025, I believe we'll get the sequel to Strangers of Paradise. For anybody who hasn't actually beaten that game, obviously it's a prequel to Final Fantasy 1, but they've already, if you beat the game, you know that at the ending it's stated that the series will continue. So I expect 2025 the sequel to Strangers of Paradise, and then 2026 we'll get the final part of Final Fantasy VII remake series. So
all right, Ethel, what do you think? What's going to be the timeline?
I'm gonna go. Mine's just pretty similar between both of these, but I'm gonna say that we're gonna get we're gonna get Crisis Core, Final Fantasy Reunion, 7 Reunion. We're gonna get the Crisis Core Reunion game. We're gonna get that, I think, think we're gonna get it like February, March.
God,
You're
don't
breaking
say
my
February.
heart.
No,
Stop.
No,
Yep.
no,
I
stop
think we're
it.
gonna-
Stop
yep.
February's. No.
Yeah, because we already know Final Fantasy 16 is coming out summer. They announced it in the last trailer. It's gonna be summer of
That could
2023.
be anywhere up to August, basically.
So I think that'll be the big game after Crisis Core. That'll be the big. They're probably last I think big game for the year for 2023. I think that's how they'll end it. We'll go with like August. We'll give them to the end of summer. We'll go with August for Final Fantasy 16, and then this jumps us into 2024. Do we see a Rebirth 2024?
Stop this. Stop.
I mean, no, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see it. But I keep thinking, will we? Here's another thing. I have another game in the back of my mind that's gonna surprise us, and I don't think anybody mentioned it.
Well, I have a strong
but
feeling
there's
you know what
been,
you're gonna say.
yeah, it's Final Fantasy 9 Remake. I do think
I forgot about that.
I do think that's gonna surprise us because I do think it's a game that's been worked on for quite some time.
I'm clipping that right now. We're gonna hold on to that until then.
I do think if they have that, if that game is ready to come out, it's not going to come out in the same year as what's it called? It's not going to come out the same year as 16, right? So let's already put that out the way. In my opinion, so this would be, I think, the big 2024 game. I would say that would be the big 2024 game. Maybe first half. All right, screw it. We'll go 16 or Final Fantasy 9 Remake will be the first half of 2024, and then screw it. We'll say at the end of 2024. It's going to end up not being winter. It's going to get pushed back. It'll get delayed because I'm going to want to put more time into it because that's a huge ass game that's going to be really big for a lot of people. They'll delay it, and that'll be the ending of 2024. And then 2025, maybe ending of 2025, Kingdom Hearts 4. That's my timeline.
All right,
I'll say that.
That's definitely different from both mine and Ndukauba's. So that's an interesting timeline. So, but I 100% clip that now. And when it comes and goes, and Final Fantasy 9 Remake is not even mentioned, I'm gonna be there with a drink in your hand, man, and be like, "It's all right, buddy."
Look, it got leaked, man. It got leaked from Nvidia. I need them to announce the game already, please.
I think it's coming out sooner than we think, honestly. Like that's us. Like for all we know, that game is ready to be out.
It depends on who's working on it, though, right? I mean, do we really think Nomura is working on it?
No,
right? I don't think so. No. Okay, so that's the timeline. So let us know your thoughts down below in the comments, guys. Do you think that what does this mean in terms of Kingdom Hearts 4, Rebirth? I mean, Crisis Core is kind of already. It's a done deal essentially for when it's going to be coming out, hopefully. But Kingdom Hearts 4, Rebirth, Part 3 for Final Fantasy 7. Do you think there's gonna be a Remake 9? Do you think, something else? Final Fantasy 16, all that stuff. I mean, Square is definitely showing us the good stuff right now. The key, I think, now that they need to land, that they haven't really landed for a while, in my personal opinion at least, is the actual releases, right? No controversies, no glitchy messes or anything like that. Like solid games. Right? If they stick the landing with those and none of this Kingdom Hearts 3 stuff where you need to buy DLC to actually get a good, decent story to finish it up or anything like that, have it good to go, then I think they've got some winners on their hands. And freaking get the Final Fantasy 7 thing out of your heads that if it doesn't sell as well, that it's a failure of a game. It's not. My God. Sorry, tangent there, but it is what it is. So. All right, anything else to say, guys, about the games before we head off then?
The only thing I have to say is, again, Crisis Core drops. I'm excited. I'm about to no-life the crap out of that game. If you guys, look.
Right, dude, have it during December. That's a winter vacation game for me, man. I'm going to be playing the crap out of that.
Oh, man.
Oh, quick question. Sorry.
Yes.
Total tangent thing here. Do you actually, I tried to look through the trailers and everything, didn't say anything about this, but do you think the Switch version is going to be cloud, or do you think it's going to be on the console
it'll
itself?
Be native. It'll definitely be native.
All right, native. Lethal,
native.
what do you think?
No, native for sure.
Native. Okay, cool. I'm kind of in the middle just because of how I know how much the Switch can handle personally. I think it could handle it, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know why. I mean, for crying out loud, the game put Kingdom Hearts 1 onto the Switch. Like, that's just.
I don't know what they were thinking. Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I know what they were thinking. It's called money, cost, and they're lazy about it. So. Put out
Listen,
right
that's a whole other video, Tallen. That
is a whole nother video right there. So anyway, guys, let us know your thoughts down below in the comments though when it comes to the topics that we just talked about here. What are you most excited for? Are you excited for Crisis Core? Final Fantasy Rebirth? Are you excited for Kingdom Hearts 4, 16, any of the other games that we talked about here briefly? Let us know all your thoughts down below in the comments below. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, sub to the channel if you happen to be new, because we're gonna be covering all this stuff. We're definitely be bringing Ndukauba back on for more videos like this in the near future, because again, the more information that comes out, especially the Tokyo Game Show coming up this September, you better believe I'm bringing you back onto the channel for more videos,
Listen,
bro.
listen. If they don't announce missing link, hold on. They need to announce missing link, dude.
So it's gonna be awesome.
Sorry, they have to announce missing link beta. Me and Ndukauba were just talking about this.
I need that
We're
beta.
waiting for it. We're waiting for this beta to be announced. So that if it's not announced there, I don't know, man.
I'll cry.
I'll cry.
I will
That's
find. You know what I'll do when I'm at Tokyo Game Show? I will go talk to Nomura, because I'll most likely be there and be like, bro, my 2 friends back home, they're crying right now. They're grown men crying. What's going on with this?
Listen,
all right.
we're here to promote the game. We'll do. We'll talk about
we'll
it.
do it. You know, just,
We'll talk
These
about it.
two will jump through hoops and off a building to get that information. So. Anyway, guys, so with that being said, though, again, like the video, comment down below, sub if you happen to be new, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Done it.